Gentlemen, we'll get started here, and when Matt comes across, we will have him join us as well. But I want to start talking with Bill over here, and as the next half hour, we're going to be talking a little bit about action figures, a little bit about collectibles, and there are a few wrestling fans here, so we might talk a couple questions about wrestling as well. So, Bill, for you, let's first talk about the collectible industry and how that has changed over the years and how it has grown.
One thing I've noticed, especially in recent years, is just the amount of product that's coming out. Like, there's so many companies that are doing stuff, and when I started about 15 years ago, the primary players were like Hasbro, Mattel. I think Playmates might have been doing some collectible stuff, but now there's so many more ways to purchase collectibles. You see, I'm in Los Angeles now, and like the amount of collectible stores has almost doubled since I've moved there. About 15 years ago to start the line. A lot of it is due to the popularity of Pokemon cards, but then like ancillary, in addition to that, more and more places to buy collectibles are available.
Bill.
How are you?
Good.
Oh, I should have brought my my belt.
I mean, Bill, are you wearing a belt right now?
Just to keep my pants up.
Okay, all right, good.
Keep that belt on, pal.
I know.
I mean, we were going to do a group hug to start, but we might want to do a group hug at the end.
We'll do a group hug at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Bill doesn't like me, guys.
Oh, please. This is the biggest false rumor that
Bill, do you follow me on social media?
Well, no, because you are blocked on social because you.
I'm blocked on social media. Blocked.
Well, you've left some comments on posts in the past that I've had to block you.
I hope this is being recorded somewhere. I would love the footage. Is this being recorded anywhere?
It's absolutely being recorded, yeah.
Please send me the footage of this. Please.
Hey, Bill, do you have any posters of Matt at home?
Not anymore.
But Bill, getting back to the question of collectibles and how it has changed over the years. Continue your thought on how much collectibles are out there now and how it's become a part of a business now.
Yeah, just the amount of places to buy them and the amount of companies doing. I mean, Matt has started his own toy company now.
I'm surprised you know that because I'm blocked on social media.
But even 10 years ago, that would have been like an outlier. Like there's all toy companies, and then that'd be almost like you wouldn't think to do that, and now that's so much more possible. And I'm trying to think. I'm not good with words anymore. It's possible and doable, which I think is a great thing.
To piggyback off what Bill said, I mean, like Mattel, Bill, I can't believe I'm kissing your butt right here publicly, but they make such incredible product, that these kids who are just watching the product now are buying them. People like me are buying them. People older than me are buying them. So much so that Brian Myers and I, instead of just texting each other and sending each other pictures back and forth every day, we started a podcast about it. So, we make money talking about Bill's work. You know what I'm saying? Because Bill makes such great stuff that there's so many fans who just want to not only buy it, but they want to discuss it and, the good and the bad about it. And like Bill said, there's so many of these smaller companies that are making figures because wrestling is so hot right now. Collectibles are so hot right now. Listen, I wasn't wrestling during the Attitude Era. I'm not that old, but this is the hottest wrestling has been since I've been a pro wrestler. And I would argue this is the hottest toys have been since I've been a pro wrestler. So it's a perfect combination, a perfect storm. And, again, a cheap plug for Bill, but with San Diego Comic-Con right around the corner, I'm excited to see what Mattel's going to show off for the WWE.
And I'm excited to show it. We got some stuff that I think people are going to be. We try to, outdo ourselves every year. So, I'm not saying we're going to outdo ourselves, but we've set a pretty high standard on what we reveal every year at Comic-Con, and I think we're going to, no one's going to walk away and go like, oh, this is the year that Mattel fell off the cliff. Like we got some stuff that I'm really excited to show off for the first time.
And Bill, looking at some of the stuff that you guys had done in the past, I was looking at the Macho Man, figurine that you guys did, and how do you create a figure that is special and completely unexpected?
A lot of times it's just trying to figure out figuring out like what hasn't been done and like why hasn't it been done, and just figuring out then that's going to resonate with people. Like for the Slim Jim Macho Man from back in the day, it seems like such a how had no one done that before that had the license at the time, and it was just a matter of sort of talking to the Slim Jim people, getting their sign off on it, and then once we saw the first sample of it before we released it, we're like, oh man, people are going to go crazy when they see this, and they did. That figure was really successful, and it kind of sparked our sort of resurgence among doing San Diego Comic-Con's exclusives. So it's just finding a lot's been done, but there's still so much more to mine, especially with a brand like that I work on with WWE. Like they have a history of just so many past performers and interesting visual looks, and just a lot of meat on the bone. So it's just trying to fit, picking out which part of the beat to pull off at that point.
Hey Matt, for you, for a figurine, what would be the ultimate figurine for you?
Man, I have this dream figure. WrestleMania 35, I'm sorry. Myself and Kurt Hawkins, we won the Raw Tag Team titles. It would have been awesome to have that figure commemorated, that gear in figure form, while I was still in WWE. To have an elite. I would have even taken a basic. WrestleMania 35, Hawkins and Ryder, they're in the elite squad. They have the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast. They win the tag team titles at WrestleMania. It would have been a dream come true to have that shrunken down in plastic form as a WWE figure. Unfortunately, it did not happen. But you never know. I mean, maybe I go back one day, we get a flashback, Zack Ryder in that WrestleMania 35 gear. You never know.
Yeah, maybe I was just saving it for your return down the road.
Yeah.
Is it interesting for you to see figurines of guys you wrestled against?
Yeah, listen, I have a weird rule because it's hard for me. I'm a collector.
Yeah.
I'm also a wrestler, but I can't collect every wrestler because where do I draw the line? So I debuted in WWE in 2007, so that's my cutoff point. So I will not collect anybody from 2007 till current day. Like Miz, one of my best friends, nope. Ziggler, Nemeth, nope. You know what I'm saying? But for instance, if Bill makes at Comic-Con, if they show this Undertaker and it's let's say a 2020 Undertaker, I don't need it. But if it's like a 1993 Taker from Survivor Series, he opens up the jacket and it's USA, I need that. You know what I'm saying? But I only do old school people. And listen, there are some exceptions I make. I got my wife. I bought my wife. But it's hard because I can't do current day stuff. But it's also hard because as I'm getting older, I realize I started so long ago. When do I become a flash? Even my last ever WWE figure before I got fired was a flashback figure, which is so weird to me.
And do you look? And I think back of the History Channel. I think it did the history of toys and how figurines started with hey, there's a big movie that came out. Hey, we're going to do figurines off that. How much history in the podcast that you have? You talk about the history of toys and how the industry has changed, and remembering those older toys.
Yeah, so listen, we do a news segment where we talk about all the stuff Bill's making, right? We put up the pictures, we dissect it, the good and the bad, and we'll be there at Comic-Con. I'll take my cell phone out. I'll be filming all his new stuff. I'll be filming the sweat on his head. You know what I'm saying? We'll be covering the news, the current stuff, because at the end of the day, the current stuff, the stuff he's making, the Mattel stuff is the best stuff of all time. I love the LJNs, I love the Hasbros, but the Mattels are the most incredible wrestling figures ever made. But at the same time, of course, we respect the LJNs and the Hasbros, and we cover them and we discuss them. We have full videos, the history of LJN, the history of Hasbros, and maybe one day we'll do the history of Mattels. But right now, they've been going strong since 2010, and I don't see it ending anytime soon.
And I'm very lucky in the regard that like I was a collector before I was a designer, so I collected all the Jacks, I collected the Hasbros, the Remcos, I collected all this stuff, and there were certain aspects of each line that I really liked and really resonated with me. So when Mattel was nuts enough to let me sort of put me at the wheel, I picked. It's like what did Jax do really well that I really liked? What did Hasbro do really well? What did Remco? What did the Japanese Chara Pro figures that I collect? Like what about each one of these really resonates with me? So I was able to combine that. I was very lucky that I'm sort of like standing on the shoulders of all these giants that came before, so that if our Us stuff is considered, the best so far, it's like look what came before that I was able to use as inspiration.
And the different toy companies, what makes each a little bit different? Like you talk about, hey, Mattel has this style and Hasbro has this style. What is that?
I'll let you answer that one, Bill.
Okay, I would say for the Remco, what I really liked was the use of the soft goods, because they were really limited on the amount of body parts that they used. So all the differentiation came by using the different soft goods on the characters and the heads. But the soft goods was the main thing that resonated with me. The Hasbro was the way they really captured the gimmick and how colorful that line is. It was a time when there was a lot of color in the WWE product. And so when you compare that collection to something like a Jax collection, where at that point a lot of the standard outfit kind of coalesced around like black trunks, black boots, black knee pads with logos on them, that stands out compared to the Jax. And then with the Jax was just the variety of like they made everyone. If you were a wrestler in WWE, when Jax had the license, there's more people. I mean, well, there's very few people around that period that aren't represented in a figure at least once. So that was like those are like the three things for those three lines that I tried to like make sure that we were hitting all bases. We're including some cool soft goods. We're making sure that if there's a choice of outfits, we try to pick the more colorful one. And then that's what I've been using to sort of influencing my design decisions.
And even now, like for me, like, okay, so we have our own toy company, but I'm not going to try to compete with Mattel. I'm not going to do the Mattel style because it's like they're obviously better, right? And they're going to make way better products. So what can I do that's different? Let's go to the past. Let's pay homage to the past. So we do the big rubber guys, which is kind of a continuation of the old LJNs, or we do the major bendies, which are a continuation of the Bendums. So we try to stay in our lane because there's nobody that can compete with Mattel. I mean, AEW and Jazzwares, they're great stuff, but at the end of the day, Mattel has proven why they're the number one. The AEWs are fine, they're cool, they're compatible, but man, go to Comic-Con next week and see the WWE booth, and then the AEW thing will be like a IKEA detop with a couple of figures in it. You know what I'm saying? Like Mattel really pays attention to the WWE line and their fans.
And you talk about brand. Mattel has that brand. How are you building that brand?
Man, with social media, ever since leaving WWE, I knew, okay, I'm fortunate, I'm grateful for Zack Ryder, especially on my Zack Ryder figures. Thank you, Bill. But I can't live in the past. I need to reinvent myself, and I didn't want that to be the end of my career. I wanted this new run to be the start of a new version of me and a new start to my personal life, my career, my business. So the podcast that we started while we were in WWE for fun, we didn't even think about it ever making money. It just kind of snowballed into something that makes money. And now we do live shows and we have our own toy line and stuff like that. So I just try to evolve everything and try to have I'm sure Bill can agree. Yes, we're working very, very hard, but we're doing the things that we love. So at the end of the day, is it really, work? Like I get paid to wrestle in my underwear. Bill gets paid to make figures of people in their underwear.
Yeah, this past week especially, it just was like very long hours leading up to Comic-Con, and there are times it's like, oh my God, like how am I going to get through this? Like how are we going to get all this stuff done? But at the end of the day, like I'm doing something that like a lot of people it's their dream job, and I am aware of that, and I'm aware that I am a very privileged position, and I don't want to, take that for granted, or I don't want to coast. I always want to make sure that like stuff costs money, and if the prices always go up, we want to make sure that when the price, when you're getting your money's worth on every Mattel WWE figure that is, you can buy. So,
And the thing is you're working in toys. You're working with toys.
yeah, it's something I've always wanted to do, and I'm doing. I mean, yeah, I mean, it is a job. Like, it's not just like a Willy Wonka fun house, but there's so many. I'm very privileged. Let me just put it that way.
Questions in the audience. Right here. Oh, he forgot. Oh.
Hello. Yeah, so I was just curious why the current Elite action figures. I noticed that they went through a remodel of the packaging. Now there's like a big banner thing that goes through the window, and you lose from the thighs down. What does that do, or what purpose is that for? Because it looks like there's something missing there.
I'm trying to figure out
He's sweating, boys.
Yeah, what am I?
He's sweating. It doesn't make sense because the Target Legends line, you see the full figure.
It's
Make Bill sweat. Make Bill sweat. Make Bill sweat.
How do they go about packaging?
I'm trying to think like politically, like what's the best way to put this. I mean, I know there is a reason why it's done, and at the end of the day, I do agree with why it's being done, but I don't know if it's my place to explain that. And I know that's probably not the answer you want, but
Is there more graphics on it, or it just looks really bare? Sorry. Make him sorry. Make him happy.
I mean,
I guess the question is well, I guess the question is what in the packaging of the toys, what goes into the thinking there, just in general, to get it out to consumers?
you do want to display the product in the best way possible. There's also other concerns, especially, and maybe this is what is with the amount of material that is ultimately going to be thrown away by people that don't display these mint on card. So there is sort of a priority over what's in the box than the box, and that's probably the most politically way I can maybe explain why the packaging has changed in the past year.
Other questions in the audience? We'll go in the second row right there. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Do you guys ever wish that Toys R Us was still around for the toys? Because like going into some retail stores, it just doesn't feel the same.
I definitely do because, Toys R Us, it brought us so many big play sets or multi-packs, you know what I'm saying? Like that a Walmart or a Target, they don't have the shelf space for. Stuff like that Nitro stage that unfortunately didn't get back. That could have been a Toys R Us thing, right? But that just can't sit at Target or Walmart. It can't be like an online thing. So I do miss Toys R Us for stuff like that. It's unfortunate, but I go to the ones in Canada. Every time I'm in Canada, I go and it's like, it's just old WWE or AEW stuff. Like they don't really keep up with it as much as you wish they would. So it's kind of depressing. I still go, but I was just in Canada. I went. It was like almost depressing walking into it because they just had old product in there. But and I know Toys R Us always says they're going to do a little comeback, but until they actually do it, I don't buy it.
Yeah, I dismiss it from a nostalgia standpoint. Like some of my earliest memories as a kid were like running to the Star Wars aisle or the G.I. Joe aisle, and just you'd see something new, and like you'd be like, "Oh my God!" Like there's like a G.I. Joe figure now comes with a dog, like Mutt and Junkyard. It's like, "Oh, I have to have this," and then you gotta go run to your grandma. It's like, "Give me this, give me this." Like, and like that experience is just like I don't know how you get that back. So from a nostalgia standpoint, I do miss Toys R Us a lot.
I agree with Bill. Like something I think we can't get back because of, the internet and, podcasts, stuff like that. Like the surprise, the element of surprise. Like I have so many vivid memories of walking into Toys R Us, like, oh my God, like they made a Steve Austin figure because like I just didn't have the internet yet. Or walking in, I'll never forget like opening a box at Toys R Us and it being the Hasbro set with Bret Hart, Undertaker, British Bulldog, Ricky Steamboat, and I had no idea they were coming out. And like I still to this day like remember seeing on the floor and picking them all out. I think everyone's on the internet these days. Kids are on iPads, so they know what's coming out. There's things like Comic-Con hyping it up. Like, yes, back in the day, there was like the toy fair, but that was more for like the business people. Like the casual fan didn't know what they were showing off at Toy Fair. But now everything is out there. People want the information. People are stealing the information. There's leaked lineups out there. It's pretty incredible, which is cool. It shows how popular wrestling figures and collecting is. But man, like Bill said, I wish I could just walk into a Toys R Us and find figures that I didn't even know were coming out.
Yeah, the last time I had this experience was I was at there's a Japanese wrestling store in Tokyo, and I collect the Chara Pro Japanese figures, and I was finding stuff like I didn't even know this stuff existed. And I was just pulling so much stuff off the pegs, like, oh my god, they made a figure this guy. It's like I wasn't as deeply into like who exactly was made by that point, so. Yeah, it's hard to recreate that experience now because like now it's like, I mean we're gonna have a dump of a bunch of reveals in Comic-Con in like a week and a half, and like it's almost like that has replaced that, going into a store and just finding out stuff you never existed.
Do you see the toy industry changing in say 10 years where maybe 3D printers are a lot cheaper and folks are maybe making their own toys or anything like that?
Yeah, there are definitely people right now using like the 3D print model, and maybe 3D printing will get better, but it's not the same, Even with us, like our figure line, like we're going through a factory in China, and obviously we're making way less product than something like Mattel. But like these figures are expensive to make. I think people don't quite understand that, and everything's going up. When people walk into Target or Walmart, they see the Mattel figures are going up in price. Well, eggs are going up in price. Gas is going up. The whole world's going up in price, right? So, especially for us, when we're making these figures, we're ordering a much lower quantity, right? Of course, I'd love to compete with Mattel price-wise, but I just can't do that. And people are like, well, I bought this LJN for $9. Yeah, you did in 1988. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's a different time. But, Mattel with the prices going up, now they have like the ultimates. Like, man, like, I wish I had figures when I was playing with interchangeable hands. You could do the poses or different facial expressions or removable shirts. This is all the stuff that Mattel's doing, and they're knocking it out of the park. And I'm excited to as a fan, to see what they show at Comic-Con. And I'm excited, to bust Bill's balls about the things I don't like, but also to kiss his butt about the things I do like.
Yeah, I like that part.
Any other questions out here? All right, right side.
A lot of it depends on like who you would make that for, and the retailer that would end up carrying it. In terms of controversy, like when you said controversy, I got a little scared. It's like how, like we are at the end of the day, we are a children's toy company. Like there's some stuff that like is like, yeah, we're not going there. But yeah, like something like the curtain call is something that could fit in a slot down the road and possibly be used. I'm not promising anything here on camera, but yeah, something like that would be, it's a big enough moment that enough people remember, and it's top talent. Like if it was a memorable, it's a lot easier to get something like that across the finish line than a memorable it's like a scandalous moment between people that aren't as people aren't as nostalgic for. So it just all depends on what fits in what slot when.
I mean, just fantasy booking, man. I would love, especially we're doing the Monday Night Wars, like a Nash Hogan Finger Poke of Doom 2-pack. Something like that would be cool. Or like back in the day at Walmart, they did the Bash of the Beach. They did Sting, Macho, Luger. Well, why don't we get the formation NWO, Hall, Nash, Hogan? Like, what are we waiting for? But But that's the cool thing about Mattel is that, like Bill said, he's a fan too, so they know, they know what to make. They've made some real deep cuts of stuff. And even the Shawn Michaels are doing now with the zip line. That's so cool. I'm excited to see what they have at Comic-Con. I'm sure there's a lot of surprises. In store.
Without giving away too much, I can think of one very memorable moment that I think will be. We might have something in the pipeline for that.
Oh, Hawkins and Ryder winning the tag titles at WrestleMania 35. You heard it here, StocktonCon. We have signed Legends deals. We're back.
There you go. And if you want to know more, you can go up to the second floor and talk with Matt and Bill. Let's give a hand for Matt and Bill this afternoon. One more panel this afternoon, and we'll talk with voice actors, and then we will have our costume contest as well.
Zack Ryder's dead, pal. You ain't getting that woo-woo. Sorry, dude.
So we're not going to get a controversial, like Steve Austin and Brian Pillman's got a gun, right?
I would love that. That'd be a great one. Man.
And then, of course, because these guys don't like one another, they need to do a group hug before they leave.
Oh, we need a hug. We need a group hug. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do a group.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, come on, Bill. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't think. Oh, man. See you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
See ya.
Matt, you going to Disneyland?
I wish. No, I'm not. No. Yeah, signing tomorrow in Phoenix.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, man.